It's one of the most iconic places in Argentina. The Perito Moreno Glacier covers a whopping 250 square kilometers, more than double the size of Paris. On average, nearly 2,000 tourists come to see it every day.
When you climb, each time there's an incline, take small steps, okay?
Some climb directly on its surface with their ice cleats.
I'm moved by its grandeur, the way nature behaves in a place like this.
It's very impressive. Nature, the colors of the water, it keeps on surprising me.
Luis Candia has been overseeing these treks for 14 years.
The tour takes place on the lower part of the glacier, almost near its edge. We visited a really small area, less than 1% of the glacier. It's enormous.
For years, Perito Moreno was considered a marvel of nature, one of the very few glaciers in the world whose size wasn't shrinking. But Luis, who knows this landscape well, believes the Argentine miracle won't withstand climate change much longer.
Guides like me, who spend a lot of time around the glacier, we can tell it's getting smaller, even if this reduction is minimal compared to other glaciers in the area, which at the same latitude have lost a lot more ice mass.
Patagonia's ice fields are melting at some of the fastest rates on the planet, and other regions in Argentina aren't faring much better. To tackle this emergency, the government commissioned a team of scientists to track the damage.
We have about an hour left before we reach the glacier. The ice has already retreated 500 meters since we first took measurements in 2017.
2 times per year, researcher Pierre Pité and his team walk to the Azufre Glacier in the west of Argentina to take samples.
Here, what we're going to do is measure the quantity of snow. To do that, we use this steel probe. We take 2 measurements a year, one at the end of winter, which is what we're doing now, to note how much snow remains on the glacier. Then we come back at the end of summer to note how much snow has melted. That allows us to see whether the glacier is losing ice and snow and at what speed.
Year after year, these scientists have made the same observation. The glaciers they've been assessing are all losing ice mass, and that can have far-reaching consequences.
Glaciers are made of water in its solid state, which gets released into streams and ecosystems during dry periods and especially during droughts. So when glaciers melt because of climate change, this water supply dwindles and the dry season gets longer. So vegetation has less time and less water to grow.
More than 3/4 of the Earth's drinking water is stockpiled in glaciers. In Argentina, some regions depend on them entirely for their water, like the desert province of Mendoza, which paradoxically has the most agriculture businesses in the country.
This is where the water arrives, and we then water the field by zone. You can see the water is already at the base of this plant.
Facunda Shalaman cultivates 10 hectares of olives on this land.
It doesn't rain in Mendoza, so the only way for water to accumulate as groundwater is through snow that falls from the Andes Mountains. But for the past 2 decades, we've had serious issues with the glacier's reserves shrinking. Some months we can't get any water, so we are forced to pump deeper and deeper.
To respond to the growing challenges of climate change and protect its glaciers and water quality, in 2010, Argentina's government passed a law banning all land exploitation, especially mining near glaciers, the only law of its kind in the world. But for the law to work, first the government needed to do an audit of the country's glaciers. A national glacier inventory was put together by researchers at the Argentine Institute of Snow Science, including Laura Salazar.
La base de nuestro trabajo de inventario son las imágenes satelitales.
The basis of our work for this inventory is satellite images. Thanks to these images, we were able to map and identify the glaciers. But we also worked in the field to corroborate what we were doing and verify that what we were mapping matched the reality on the ground.
In total, the team mapped 16,000 glaciers after more than 7 years of work. Now that they've been inventoried, these glaciers can be protected by the law. a victory for environmental organizations.
La ley de glaciares es una de las mejores leyes ambientales que tenemos en Argentina, porque protege a los glaciares de manera integral.
The glacial law is one of the best environmental laws we have in this country because it protects the entirety of the glacier, not only the ice mass, but also the entire area around it, the periglacial zone, without which the glacier could not exist.
Estaban en etapas de exploración en la zona de la cordillera.
Following several lawsuits from big mining companies, Argentina's Supreme Court ruled in 2020 that the glacier protection law was constitutional. But despite all the efforts to save them, glaciers are still vanishing every year. According to UNESCO, 1/3 of the glaciers classified as World Heritage Sites are expected to disappear over the next 30 years.